Good morning.
Good morning. Please switch on a video, Ashish and Sana. So take the text. Elvina, what did we learn in the last class?
We learned about the schizophrenia and about the delusions and hallucinations.
About delusions and hallucinations. Okay. Did you understand anything about delusions and hallucinations? Don't smile. Say yes or no. Elvina.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Who would like to tell me what is a hallucination? Aishwarya?
Hallucinations are perceptions that occur in the absence of a stimulus.
And how is it different from an illusion?
Illusion has a stimulus and we perceive it differently.
Okay. I was praying, please don't make it wrong. All right. We have been studying this from the last year, no? Okay. Any confusion in that? The difference between illusion and hallucination? Anybody? Because we have to clear it now itself and then move on. No? Clear. Okay. Now, which were the three categories of symptoms that we learned in schizophrenia? Very easy. Name them. Meghna.
Positive symptoms, negative, and psychomotor symptoms.
Psychomotor symptoms. Okay. And hallucinations, illusions, and all are a part of which category, Sneha?
Positive symptoms.
Positive symptoms. Very good. Okay. And can you give me one example of a delusion? Anyone? Raina?
Delusion of grandeur.
What is it?
People believe in they have special, empowered.
For example, suppose if I have a delusion of grandeur.
They think they're Jesus Christ. They're very Superman or
Yes.
something.
Yes, very good. That is correct. That is the typical example for it. Some people say that they are God. They feel that they are God. They believe, they strongly believe that they are God, they are Jesus, or they are some Superman or superhero, something like that. And they think that they have superpowers. Okay, that is a delusion. And what are delusions? They are strongly held beliefs, even in the presence of contrary evidences. Contrary evidences means opposite evidences. It's understood, no, already? I've already explained about it. Okay, fine. So we'll carry on then. Which were the types of hallucinations? Amal, can you tell me any one type hallucination?
Auditory hallucination.
What occurs in auditory hallucination?
We is that someone talking to us, but it really does not exist.
Yes, correct. We can hear voices which really does not exist. We can hear it in the form of commanding. Some people might be commanding us to do something, or they might be calling out our names constantly, especially when we are alone. We can hear voices. Then it might be in second person or third person. You already explained that, no? Like it might be one person calling out to us, or it might be two or more people discussing among them about us. Okay, that is a third person hallucination, auditory hallucination. Okay. Now, Sana, any other hallucination that you know other than auditory? I cannot hear. Visual hallucination. Visual hallucination means?
We'll see things that are not actually there.
Very good. We see something that is not actually present in front of us. Again, back to our movie example, Beautiful Mind. That person sees, I think it's some military officer or something. but that person actually does not exist. Okay. Then any other hallucination, Ashish, other than auditory and visual? Ashish,
Factory,
what was it?
olfactory,
Olfactory. What is olfactory? Related to which sense?
we will feel a bad smell.
Yes. We can
Nose.
smell something like smoke or rotten egg or foul smells and all, which does not exist. Which others, suppose if I am having an olfactory hallucination and we are all in the class, only I can feel that. Only I can feel, or only I can get that bad smell. Understood? None of you would get it, even though we are in a very confined place like our classroom. Got that? And other than all these, we have somatic hallucinations, which are body related, and the tactile ones, the insect crawling, all those stuff. It's understood, right? Should I explain anymore? No. Okay. Now we'll move on to the negative symptoms. Write down the heading negative symptoms. As we discussed before, positive symptoms were the excess of something or the presence of something, isn't it? So negative symptoms, what would they be?
Lack of feeling,
Lack
action.
of something, yes. For example, lack of feelings or emotions. So in negative symptoms, mainly we discuss about something that is not present or something that is not present in appropriate quantity. For example, we'll see. Negative symptoms are pathological deficits. Underline that term, pathological deficits. Pathological deficits means deficits which might or which has the capability to cause a particular disorder or disturbance in your behavior. Now, here it is behavior. Okay. Now, and include poverty of speech, blunted and flat effect. Underline those points. Poverty of speech, which means you lack the speaking abilities, which means you won't speak much. You won't speak it. Some people don't speak at all. The people who suffer from schizophrenia, they don't speak at all. That is poverty of speech. And suppose if we are taking a case history and this client is there or this patient is there in the hospital and we are taking a case history, if we ask them questions, sometimes they won't answer. And if they rarely answer also, they'll say, yes, no, that's it, over. Okay, that is poverty of speech. Then blunted and flat effect. What does that mean? I already explained that previously. Blunted and flat effect. What is
They
it
don't
related to?
show any emotions.
Yes. No emotions. Those people don't show any facial expressions or they won't express their emotions. It's as if they don't feel anything. They have a flattened effect. We call it flattened effect in psychology. Affect. It's not effect, it's affect. AFFECT. Okay. Flattened affect. Then loss of volition. Same like poverty of speech. They don't speak much. Volition means the vocabulary, speech, related to speech. Okay. Then social withdrawal. What is social withdrawal? That also we have learned before. What is social withdrawal?
They isolate themselves from others.
Yes, they isolate themselves from social settings. They don't communicate with people. They don't interact with people much. They withdraw themselves from the social setting. That is social withdrawal. Okay. Now, these are the general symptoms in negative symptoms. Which are the general symptoms in negative symptoms? Anna, can you read out? Poverty of speech. Come on. Unmute and speak. You cannot unmute. What happened? Okay, Raina, tell me. Poverty of speech.
Poverty of speech, blunted and flat. Then,
Affect. Then
abolition,
loss of volition and social.
anti,
Antisocial. Social. Social with.
they don't like socializing.
They don't like socializing. That is social withdrawal. All right. Now, there are so many terms coming up in this. Explanations are there. We'll see that. Meghna, please read.
People with schizophrenia show alogia or poverty of speech. That is
Underline
a
that. Underline that. Poverty of speech. In psychology, we have a term for it. That is called alogia. 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 Poverty of speech. So if you see or if you come across this word anywhere when you read something, alogia, if the term is there, understand that this means poverty of speech. Okay, this is one of the symptom. This is one of the negative symptom of schizophrenia, disorder called schizophrenia. Okay, then.
That is reduction in speech and speech content. Many
Okay.
people with schizophrenia show less anger, sadness, joy, and other feelings than most people do. Thus, they have blunted effect.
Blunted effect or flattened effect.
Some show no emotions at all, a condition known as flat affect. So, patients with schizophrenia experience avolition or apathy and
It is avolition. Not
avolition,
avolition, avolition. Yes, correct.
avolition or apathy and an inability to start or complete a course of action. People with
Then.
this disorder may withdraw socially and become totally focused on their own ideas and fantasies.
Yes, they'll be isolated and they'll be confined to themselves. Understood? They won't socialize with people. They won't express their needs to other people. They won't interact with other people. They won't express their feelings towards other people. They'll be just confined with themselves, with their own ideas, with their own thoughts, with their own fantasies. Okay. And again, when we come back to that movie's example, that person is very much obsessed with finding out something. That person is trying to find out something. That character, John Nash's character, is trying to find out something. And actually, that is a good thing because that was the reason why he got a Nobel Prize. That character gets, in real life also, the person called John Nash, he gets a Nobel Prize. That's because he was very much obsessed and involved in his own thoughts and ideas, and he found out so many things. But the problem is, these all symptoms were shown. Hallucinations were there, delusions were there, negative symptoms were there, everything was there. So if he was supposed to live alone on his own, then it was all right. But he had a wife and a small baby son. Baby was there, son. It's difficult for people to adjust with such patients who suffer from this disorder. Okay, and it's difficult for them to adjust with the family members also. When we started with this disorder, I told you it's very difficult for the person itself as well as the family members or the close ones to adjust with the symptoms. Got it? Okay. So that is about the negative symptoms. We just have a small portion for negative symptoms. That's all. You just have to remember about the terms. Alogia. Alogia means poverty of speech, then abolition, then blunted or flattened effect, then social withdrawal. These are the main symptoms, negative symptoms. Okay, Amal understood? All right. Do you have any doubt in that topic? Anyone? Shall we continue? Rishma, any doubt?
No, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So next one, which is the third category, Rishma? Third category of symptoms after positive and negative.
Psychomotor.
Psychomotor abnormalities or psychomotor symptoms. So psycho means something related to thoughts and experiences, cognitive process, everything. Motor means will be related to Motor movements. Yes, motor. Remember, each time you hear the word motor, it's related to the movements, body movements. So psychomotor symptoms or psychomotor abnormalities. What would that be? Can you make a wild guess? No.
Some
Odd
problems in their movement.
Flash. What? What did you say, Aishwarya?
Some problems in their movement.
Some problems in their movements. Okay, Raina, what did you say?
Some odd behavior, which is not normal at all.
Okay, yeah, odd behaviors, problems in their movements. So that's correct. Have you seen in films, in some police stations, they give a punishment for the culprits, no? I mean, if the for petty cases and all, if they are caught and if they are brought to the jail, what happens is they ask these people to sit in a position without a chair. Have you seen that? Sit, but you won't be getting a chair. Just like we do sit-ups. Have you seen?
Yeah,
Yes.
during lockdown and police used to do when people went out
Okay.
for this punishment.
Yes. So these psychomotor abnormalities, in that we can see some behaviors like that. Hmm? It's not like um, they are doing as if they are punishing themselves. It's not like that. But they can effortlessly stand or sit in unusual positions for a very long time. And suppose when they sleep or when they lie down, even without a pillow, they can uh, put their head up. Can you get my point? Even there will be a space for the pillow between their head and the bed. So if this is the bed, and if they are lying like this, we are supposed to lie like this, no? But they'll be lying like this. The head will be up. Understood?
So they don't feel any
No,
pain
no,
or something.
no. They feel very flexible and effortless at that time. Because some of those behaviors or some of these postures are called catatonic behaviors. Catatonia. We have, I told you, do you remember? I don't know if you remember. I told you there are different types of schizophrenia: undifferentiated, residual, hebephrenic. There are so many types of schizophrenia. One among that type is catatonic schizophrenia, in which more of such psychomotor problems are shown. Okay. And maybe for some people, they can stand on one leg for a very long time. That's again a catatonic behavior. We'll see what that is. People with schizophrenia also show psychomotor symptoms. They move less spontaneously or make odd grimaces and gestures. These symptoms may take extreme forms known as catatonia, catatonic behaviors, or catatonia. I didn't see the end of that part. That's why I was looking. Okay, catatonia. People in catatonic stupor remain motionless and silent for long stretches of time. It's like we are playing statue. They remain motionless and they don't speak also. They remain like statues for a very long time. That is called catatonic stupor. Some show catatonic rigidity, that is maintaining a rigid upright posture for hours. That is catatonic rigidity. If they are motionless and silent for a very long time, we call it catatonic stupor. And if they maintain a rigid position for a very long time, we call it catatonic rigidity. Okay. Then others exhibit catatonic posturing, assuming awkward, bizarre positions for long periods of time. That is like, have Have you seen ancient buildings, ancient temples and all? We have so many carvings, no? On it. In that, we have different dance positions and certain weird positions. And these people, they tend to assume those positions like that, weird positions or bizarre positions. We don't suppose if we have the example I told you, the sitting posture, that is not a bizarre one. No. We clearly know that is a sitting posture. But these people, people showing catatonic posturing, they assume or they maintain some weird positions, which we can't actually make out what it is. Understood? These are the three types. I told you before we started schizophrenia. This is a very weird disorder with weird symptoms. Okay. And it's very interesting to learn about it also. In films, they are depicted very beautifully. Schizophrenia. Okay. So that's it about schizophrenia. And any doubt, just see the whole set of symptoms. Just make sure you understand where these hallucinations come, delusions come, what are the subcategories and all. Just read up from the starting. I'll give you 2 minutes. Starts from page number 81. Finished? Everything clear? Because as long as we all know, schizophrenia is a disorder which is commonly asked. It's a very famous one. Certain people who assume that they know psychology, they'll be first researching about schizophrenia. They tend to know schizophrenia, the term schizophrenia, because it's a fancy name, isn't it? Unlike other disorders, it's a very fancy name. And when we want to boast about psychology, they tend to say, you know about schizophrenia, that disorder? And people is, schizo what? Schizo what? And it's very difficult for people who hear it for the first time to pronounce it correctly. Schizophrenia. Yes. And it's very commonly asked also in question papers. So make sure you learn it, categorizing the different symptoms. And if you learn it, it's very interesting and easy compared to the other symptoms. It's very easy to write down the symptoms actually. In depression and all, you need to write. We'll get depressed after writing the symptoms, isn't it? Very. I find it very boring personally. But schizophrenia is the most interesting disorder to study, to observe, to take case. To take case, I think it's a bit difficult because we might not get proper responses from the client or the patient. But still, it's very interesting. What do you guys think?
It's interesting.
Yes. Than the other ones, no?
Yeah.
Or am I projecting my feelings and thoughts to you?
No, it's interesting, ma'am.
Okay. All right. We'll have to start with the seminars from this chapter onwards. I hope you heard chairman's message regarding seminars. Reina, don't show that expression. Okay, we'll start with the seminar. So, since there are only few people in our class, I thought I'll give seminars to 3 of you per chapter. It's usually said that 5 people should be given the seminar topics, but that'll be too much, no? I'll give 3. So we'll do feeding and eating disorders, then substance related and addiction disorders. Just those topics. We can divide now itself. Who is taking who? Who would like to take feeding and eating? Or I think there are different sections for the last one. So if we want, we can take up 5 people. It will be a very brief presentation. I'll talk about this thing. I'll teach you in a brief about what eating disorders and substance related disorders are, and after that you'll just have to present. You just have to give a brief explanation about these disorders. That's all. So since you are only a few, I mean, we are only a few, you will get repeated chances in each chapter. So it's not a thing. It's very simple topic and very small too. So I think one person can take up anorexia nervosa, one person can take up bulimia nervosa, one person can take up alcohol, one person heroin, and the other person cocaine. The topic, not the drug. Just see the portion quickly and we can decide now itself. Eating disorders, I think we have already learned before. Remember bulimia nervosa and anorexia nervosa? We have learned that before. And substance related disorder also symptoms and all the management, they are more or less the same. So it's just a brief presentation. First come first. Who wants anorexia nervosa?
I will take.
You will take. Okay. You'll take anorexia nervosa. And bulimia? Who wants bulimia?
I will take.
Okay. Alcohol. Who wants alcohol? It's very small.
Ma'am, can I?
Heroin.
I'll take it, ma'am.
Okay. Now cocaine. I find it weird asking to you. Cocaine. Do you feel like it's an auction or something? Cocaine.
And me,
Ah, okay, fine. So you remember which topic you all got, no? So after this one, or maybe if we have time now, we'll discuss about feeding and eating disorders. Neurodevelopmental disorders we'll discuss in the next class, most probably. Neurodevelopmental is about the autism spectrum disorders, then ADHD, all those childhood disorders and all. So that we'll learn in the next class. Then disruptive impulse control and conduct disorders, that also will study after neurodevelopmental ones. So I think you would know what the symptoms are: conduct disorder and all, antisocial, the miniature form of antisocial personality disorder or antisocial behaviors, and a conduct disorder. Then yeah, so I think we have time, no? 15 minutes more left, isn't it? We'll see feeding and eating disorders very quickly, and then we'll finish. So another type of disorders which are of special interest to young people are eating disorders. These include anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa, and binge eating. Binge eating is a part of eating disorder, the main essence of eating disorder, that is binge eating. In anorexia nervosa, the individual has a distorted body image that leads her or him to see herself or himself as overweight. Okay, even if the person is so slim and so lean, the person thinks that there is so much of fat in the body, or the person thinks that he or she is overweight. Okay, that happens in anorexia nervosa. Often refusing to eat, exercising compulsively, and developing unusual habits such as refusing to eat in front of others, the person with anorexia may lose large amounts of weight and even starve herself or himself to death. If it gets very serious or severe, this person will stop eating food, will stop any intake of food, and then finally, if we don't get food, what will happen? It will be fatal for us. It means we'll die. Okay, this disorder, eating disorder, it might seem very common or very familiar or less serious, but if this gets serious, if this gets very severe, then it can lead to the person's death, even the person's death. So what happens in anorexia nervosa is that if you're suffering from anorexia nervosa, you will refuse to eat, especially in front of others. You'll fear that you have an excess body weight, excessive body weight. Then what else? You also see your body image as very negative. You're not satisfied with your body image. You think you don't have proper body shape or body weight. Mainly it's concerned with the weight and the calories and fat and all those stuff. Okay, so they refuse to eat, especially in front of others, and they starve to death finally. Okay, very very common disorder, very common especially in European countries, especially for women. That is anorexia nervosa. Next one is bulimia nervosa. The individual may, the reason why I'm going fast is this topic is there for seminar. Okay. And I don't think there is more explanation for it. It's already understood, no? We have already learned about it. Then bulimia nervosa, the individual may eat excessive amounts of food, then purge her or his body of food by using medicines such as laxatives or diuretics, or by vomiting. So purging behavior and overeating. That is the main concepts in bulimia nervosa. What happens is they eat too much, but then after eating they regret. Then they vomit, they purge. Purge means they'll induce vomiting. Sometimes they'll put their hands inside their throat and then they'll vomit. Purging behaviors. That's very common in bulimia nervosa. They'll eat, but they don't want that nutrients and the vitamins and the fats to be absorbed in the body. So they'll vomit it off. Or they'll use laxatives and diuretics. Diuretics means water pills. You know them? Water pills. It increases the urination. Okay. So they'll use all these stuff, and then they'll try to reduce their weight. They'll try to compensate for whatever they have already eaten. Understood? That is bulimia nervosa. The person often feels disgusted and ashamed when he or she binges and is relieved of tension and negative emotions after purging. As I told, in order to get rid of that regret of overeating or binge eating. Binge eating means they'll eat every now and then they'll purge because of the regret of eating. So after purging, they'll be relieved that all these food items are gone from the body. Okay. Then in binge eating, there are frequent episodes of out of control eating. That is binge eating. I think during lockdown, this word was very common. Binge, binge eating, and Netflix. It was very common, especially in Instagram and all. Yes, Elvina is going to tell us something. What is it?
The same as ma'am told.
Yeah. You notice that?
Yes, I
Yes.
saw on Instagram and
Mhm.
in many meme pages.
Yes. Binge eating and binge watching Netflix. That was the main concept during a previous lockdowns and all. So binge eating, what is binge eating? Eating every now and then, overeating. They'll keep on eating. We don't have anything else. No, eat, sleep, repeat. It's the same thing. Yeah. Then the individual tends to eat at a higher speed than normal and continues eating till he or she feels uncomfortably full. Uncomfortably full means what is it referring to? The tummy being full, very much full. Not the normal full, but uncomfortably full. So you can imagine how much. Yeah. Then, in fact, large amount of food may be eaten even when the individual is not feeling hungry. So hunger is not the factor. They are not eating because they are hungry. They are simply keeping on eating. That's why this is coming under psychological disorder. Understood? If they are continuously hungry and they're eating, then there is what cause for that? Other than not psychological, what would be the cause? If they are very much hungry all the time, what would be the cause? What do we call that? There's a typical word.
Obesity.
No. Obesity is overweight, no?
Physiological.
Physiological, or we call it organic cause. Organic, which means it's related to biological or physiological thing. Usually in hospital settings and all, when suppose we studied about somatoform disorders, no? Remember, somatoform disorder, they won't have any organic cause, but they are showing symptoms like pain disorder and all. Yeah. So usually in hospital settings, what happens is these people first consult the other doctors, and then after finding out that there is no organic cause, then only they are referred to the psychologist. And if a person like this comes to a psychologist, the first thing that the psychologist is doing is um, trying to rule out the organic causes. That is, they'll ask the people to test the thyroid, for example. If they are showing depressive symptoms, they'll ask the person to test thyroid or other hormones, which might, whose imbalance might lead to this disorder called depression. So first thing that we have to do is rule out the organic causes or the physiological or biological causes. Then only we can make sure that this is of psychological origin. Then only we can give therapy and then only it will be effective, isn't it? We have to treat the cause of the disorder, not the main symptom. Only after then we can manage the symptoms. We can um, decide the treatment methods and management techniques for the symptoms. If only if we know the proper cause. Okay, so that's it. Very easy. Now, when you make the presentation for the seminar, try to add pictures. Hmm? Even if there is no text on the presentation, no problem. Try to add more pictures and then you explain whatever is happening. It's already explained, no? Now you already know what that is. Now, the aim of our seminar is to understand, to get a feedback from you all how much you have understood. Okay, that's it. How much you are able to press in, that's it. So add more pictures. Okay, those who are taking anorexia and bulimia, especially for that, you can get so many pictures. Add more pictures, make it more colorful. Fine. After the chapter, after finishing all the portions only, we'll start with the seminars. And I think within 2 days, today and tomorrow, maybe we'll finish the portions. So start preparing from today onwards. Yeah, that's it. Anything more? Any doubt? No, right? Yeah. So that's it then. We'll leave. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.